Welcome to aminacademy.com. Future of the world will discuss about migration and movement. People have been migrating in search of better lives, to flee conflict or persecutions, or to seek new opportunities throughout history. Climate change, conflict, political instability, and economic disparities are among the main drivers of people seeking livelihoods elsewhere. Here's why well managed migrations can and does drive positive economic, social, and cultural outcomes to the benefit of everyone. Migration is as old as humanity itself. Throughout history, people have migrated in search of better lives, to flee conflict or seek safety, or simply to find new opportunities. Yet, with migration hitting record numbers, a new and more comprehensive approach is needed to address the complex and multifaceted issues that compel people to move today. It may surprise us people that most migration is regular, safe, and orderly, regionally focused, and often directly connected to work. What captures attention in headlines is just part of the story. But it is also true that climate change, conflict, political instability, and economic disparities are driving even more migration as people conclude they have little choice but to find safety and livelihood elsewhere. The impact of climate change is becoming particularly prominent now, causing more new displacement annually than conflict. Nevertheless, the fact is that well managed migration is a solution to some of the world's most important challenges. Migration as a major driver of development. For centuries, migration have been a major driver of development and prosperity. International remittances to low and middle income countries are now at the at about 670 billion, which is more than direct foreign investment and for more than official development assistance to those countries. Many regions, such as Eastern Africa, are now investing in a regional framework that cover trade and migration because the free movement of people and goods can bring sustained, inclusive economic growth and productive employment. Now, let us discuss some detail about migration and movement in the future of the world. The future of global migration points to significant increase driven by persistent economic and environmental pressures, coupled, coupled with demographic shifts like aging populations in destination countries. This will likely result in a growing number of voluntary migrants seeking economic opportunities alongside increasing displacement from conflict and climate change. Key trends Key trends include the rise in both permanent and temporary migration, the growing importance of remittance, and the need for a more human-centered approach to migration, govern, governance that prioritizes migrant well-being and rights. Key drivers of future migration: economic factors. Opportunities in wealthier nations with growing job market and high living standards will continue to attract migrants. These are economic factors. Economic factors such as income gaps, demographic imbalances, and a lack of job opportunities are major drivers of future migration, attracting people to wealthier nations with higher living standards, while destination countries may face short-term integration challenges. They can reap long-term economic benefits from a larger workforce and consumer base. Origin countries, conversely, can experience brain drain but also benefit from remittances and reduced unemployment. Demographic shift. Aging population and shrinking workforce in destination countries are creating a demand for labor, while rapid population growth in lower income countries generates pressure for emigration. The future of global migration is shaped by significant demographic imbalance, with rapid population growth in developing countries contrasting with aging, declining population in developed nations, driving a large scale movement of people for economic opportunities, climate change, conflict, and other fragility factors are also increasing the pressure to move while established migrant networks. Globalization and shifting societal norms influences migration flows. Demographic shifts, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa, will continue to fuel migration for the foreseeable future, impacting global population structure and resource demands. Environmental stress. Climate change and other environmental factors will increasingly contribute to displacement, pushing people to leave their homes. Environmental stress, driven primarily by climate change, is projected to become a major and increasingly influential factor in global migration and movement pattern. While migration has historically been shaped by economic, social, and political factors, environmental pressures will act as a threat multiplier, compelling tens to hundreds of millions of people to move predominantly within their own countries. Conflict and insecurity. Ongoing conflict and political instability will continue to drive refugee flows and forced displacement. In the future, global migration and movement will be defined by a complex interplay of demographic shift, climate change, and persistent insecurity. While voluntary migration for economic opportunities is expected to increase, conflict and climate related disasters will drive record levels of forced displacement, creating a more mobile and at times vulnerable global population. Emerging trends in migration. What are the emerging trends? Increased migration numbers. The number of international migrants is projected to rise, with estimates suggesting it could exceed 4% of the global population by 2030. Increased migrant increased migration numbers are driven by economic opportunities, climate change, conflict, and demographic shifts, leading to more people moving internationally and within their countries, while the overall number of international migrants has been rising, with over 304 million globally in 2024. Many more are projected to become internal climate migrants. Climate change is expected to be a significant factor, potentially displacing millions of 2050 due to sea level rise, drought, and extreme weather. Rise of remittance. International remittance from migrants to their home countries have surged significantly and are crucial source of income for developing nations, often surpassing foreign direct investment. Future of global migration will continue to drive a rise in remittance fueled by persistent economic disparities, demographic shift, conflict, and climate change. This trend is accelerated by technological innovations that make sending money cheaper and more accessible, profoundly influencing economic and social development in receiving countries. Growing displacement. The number of Forcibly displaced people and refugees is at a record high and expected to continue growing. In the future, growing displacement will be driven by the increasing frequency and intensity of climate related events, persistent geopolitical conflict, and deepening socio-economic inequalities. While most of this displacement will occur within countries, the overall number of people forced from their homes is projected to rise significantly in the coming decades. Shift in migration type. While most migrants are voluntary, there is an increasing proportion of refugees and people displaced by conflict alongside a continued flow of labor migrants. In the future, migration will shift from traditional long distance and permanent models towards more complex, multi-directional, and diversified movements. Key trends indicate that internal migration, temporary labor migration, and climate induced displacement will increase dramatically, while the overall share of international migrants in the global population is likely to remain stable. Challenge and opportunities. Managing social and political tensions. Determining destination countries must effectively manage the social integration and potential tension that can rise from increased immigration. Human centered governance. There is a growing recognition of the need to shift from purely economic or labor perspective to one that prioritizes the human rights, dignity, and well being of migrants. Cooperation and framework. Multilateral framework like a global compact for safe, orderly, and regular migration (GCM) provides a non-binding roadmap for cooperative and rights-based migration governance. Beneficial outcomes. Countries that manage migration effectively can reap significant economic and social benefits, while origin countries can benefit from remittances and improved education levels, through they may also face skill gap. So far, we discussed about future of the world, in that we discussed about migration and movements. We have done. Please subscribe our YouTube channel.